Okay, so you're prepping for a director of business development interview. Congrats.
Yeah,
That's a big deal.
huge.
And we are here to help you nail it.
Absolutely.
Think of this deep dive as your insider's guide straight from the hiring manager's playbook.
Yeah, we're going deep into excerpts from Director of Business Development interview questions. Prepare for your interview,
Ooh.
a guide that hiring managers actually use.
Okay, so this isn't just some generic advice column.
Nope.
This is the real deal.
Real deal.
And we're going to unpack the most valuable nuggets to give you a serious edge.
Absolutely.
Now, this guide breaks down into 3 main sections.
Okay.
Technical/job specific, behavioral,
Yep.
and a practice quiz.
I like it.
And while they're all important,
Sure.
let's start with what often trips people up, the technical side of things.
Yeah.
It's where you can really demonstrate you're not just a salesperson,
Right.
but a strategic leader,
Absolutely.
right? Because anyone can learn a product line. They want to see that you can think about the big picture. And this guide dives right into that with revenue growth strategies.
Yes.
What jumped out at you there?
Honestly, it was the subtle shift in emphasis.
Okay.
They go beyond just acquiring new customers
Hmm.
and really hammer home the importance of retention.
Makes sense. Keeping a customer is cheaper than finding a new one, right?
Exactly. But the guide goes deeper than that.
Okay.
It talks about creating loyal advocates, people so happy with your product or service that they become your best salespeople through word of mouth marketing.
Wow. That's powerful stuff.
Okay, so it's not just about closing deals.
Nope.
It's about building long-term relationships that benefit the company in multiple ways. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
The guide also spends a good chunk of time on launching new products or services.
Which makes sense, right? At the director level, you're not just selling what already exists.
Right.
You're likely involved in shaping what the company offers to the market.
Totally. And the guide lays out a framework for that whole process, something called a go-to-market strategy.
Yes.
It covers everything from analyzing your target audience to understanding the competitive landscape,
Right.
even pricing models.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The guide actually includes commentary from real hiring managers
Yeah.
about what they look for in these areas.
I like it.
For example, there's this one quote about pricing that really stood out to me.
Ooh, let's hear it. This is the kind of insider info that could be a game changer for our listener.
The hiring manager says, and I quote, "Understanding a product's value perception is key to setting the right price."
Okay.
It's not just about costs and margins.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how the customer perceives the value they're getting.
So basically, you could have a fantastic product,
Right.
but if you don't position it in a way that resonates with the target audience and justifies the price,
Yeah.
you're dead in the water.
You're sunk. This is pure gold. We've barely scratched the surface of this guide, and already I'm seeing how it can help our listener approach this interview with a whole new level of confidence.
Absolutely. And we still got 2 more sections to cover.
You're right. Let's dive into the next part.
Okay.
Now, this is where things get a little more personal.
Right.
The behavioral questions section.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know about your experience, your leadership style,
Yeah.
and how you handle those tricky situations.
Hmm.
Are you ready to unpack this?
Absolutely. This is where you get to show them who you are beyond just the resume bullet points.
Right. Now, some of these questions seem pretty standard at first glance, like, tell me about a time you had to overcome a challenging obstacle, or how did you deal with a difficult team member?
Right.
But what's interesting is how the guide encourages you to frame your answers,
Okay.
going beyond just the what
Mm-hmm.
and really focusing on the how.
I see.
They're looking for specific examples that showcase your thought process,
Yeah.
your decision-making abilities, and
Oh.
your resilience.
Right.
So for our listener, it's not enough to just say, I faced this problem and I solved it.
Yep.
You've got to paint a picture. Walk them through your actions
Mm-hmm.
and explain the impact those actions had on the situation.
Right. And don't be afraid to get a little vulnerable here.
Okay.
Talk about what you learned from the experience, especially if things didn't go exactly as planned.
Hmm.
Hiring managers appreciate self-awareness and the ability to learn from mistakes.
That's such a great point.
Yeah.
They want to see that you're not just some robot who executes tasks,
Right.
but a human being who can adapt, learn, and grow.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's dig into some specific examples from this section.
Right.
There's one question that really stood out to me.
Okay.
It asks us about a time you had to lead a team through a high-stakes business development project.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the definition of this role, right?
Absolutely. And while it might be tempting to focus on the results,
Sure.
The guide encourages you to showcase how you achieved those results through your leadership style.
So it's not just about being the hero, it's about empowering your team to succeed.
Exactly. They want to hear about how you delegated responsibilities, fostered collaboration, and maybe even mentored team members along the way.
Right.
Did you face any internal conflicts? How did you navigate those?
Ooh, good point. Because let's be honest, every big project has its share of bumps in the road.
Oh, for sure.
They want to see that you can handle the pressure and keep the team moving forward.
Right. And speaking of pressure,
Okay.
there's another question in this section that I think is particularly revealing.
Okay.
It asks, how do you motivate and manage your team to achieve their business development goals?
Okay, so this is getting at the heart of your leadership philosophy.
Yeah,
What kind of manager are you?
right.
Do you inspire through a shared vision?
Uh-huh.
Are you more hands-on? This is where your personality can really shine through.
And this is a chance to highlight specific techniques you've used.
Okay.
Maybe you've implemented unique incentive programs, or perhaps you have a knack for identifying individual strengths and tailoring your approach accordingly.
Uh-huh.
Whatever it is, don't be afraid to get specific and show them how you bring out the best in your team.
Love it. It's all about showing them you're not just a manager, but a leader who can inspire and drive results.
Absolutely.
Now, the guide also dives into the concept of business acumen,
Yes.
which sounds a bit intimidating, but it's really just about demonstrating you understand the industry and can think strategically.
Right. It's about showing them you're not just reacting to the market, you're anticipating trends and shaping the future.
I like it.
And the guide has a fantastic question that gets right at this.
Okay.
It asks, can you explain how you stay up to date with industry trends and changes? How do you incorporate this knowledge into your business development strategies?
Okay, this is where you get to geek out a bit.
Yes.
What are you reading? What conferences are you attending? What podcasts are you listening to?
Exactly. But don't just rattle off a list of resources.
Okay.
Connect the dots for them. Show them how you've actually applied this knowledge to develop innovative strategies, identify new opportunities, or even pivot your approach based on changing market conditions.
Perfect example. It's one thing to say you're a lifelong learner,
Right.
but it's another thing entirely to demonstrate how that learning translates into real-world business success.
And this brings us to one of the most challenging,
Okay.
but also most rewarding questions in this section.
Uh-oh.
It asks, tell me about a time when you had to analyze complex business data to make a strategic decision.
Ooh, this is where they really want to see how your brain works.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to get into the weeds a bit here.
Okay.
Talk about the specific data points you analyzed, the tools and techniques you used,
Yeah.
and the challenges you encountered along the way.
Right.
And don't shy away from the complexity if it was a tough decision. Let them know.
Hmm.
Walk them through your thought process.
Okay.
How did you weigh the various factors? How did you communicate your findings to stakeholders?
And what was the ultimate outcome? Did your analysis lead to a successful new strategy?
Right.
Did it help you identify a potential pitfall? The more specific and concrete you can be, the more credible and impactful your story will be.
This is gold.
Okay.
I can see how this guide is giving our listener a real advantage in terms of framing their experiences in a way that resonates with hiring managers.
And we're not done yet. There's one more question in this section that I think is crucial for anyone interviewing for a Director of Business Development role.
Okay.
It asks, have you ever worked with a challenging client or partner in a business development role? How did you handle the situation and what did you learn from it?
Oh, yeah. This is a classic. Everyone has at least one story about a difficult client or partner.
Oh, I know, right?
But the key here is to focus on how you navigated the situation, not just the conflict itself.
Exactly. Did you use your communication skills to de-escalate the situation?
Right.
Did you find a creative solution that addressed everyone's concerns? Did you learn valuable lessons about setting boundaries or managing expectations?
Right. This is less about proving you're perfect and more about showing you can handle difficult situations with grace and professionalism. It's also about demonstrating your ability to learn and grow from those experiences.
Now, we've been deep in this behavioral questions section for a while.
We have.
But there's one more part of the guide we need to unpack.
Okay.
And it's a bit like a secret weapon.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, I love secret weapons. What is it? Tell me everything.
It's the practice quiz.
Okay.
And it's not just your average quiz.
Ah.
It's like stepping into a mini mock interview with real questions and commentary from hiring managers.
Wait, hold on. This guide actually provides insights into what the hiring managers are thinking when they ask these questions.
That's right. It's like getting a glimpse behind the curtain and seeing how they evaluate your responses.
Wow.
And sometimes what they're looking for is surprisingly nuanced.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. Let's dive into this practice quiz and see what hidden gems we can uncover.
Absolutely. One question that really jumped out at me asked how you balance short-term wins with long-term growth in your sales strategy.
Seems straightforward enough,
Right.
but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
Exactly. The hiring manager's commentary highlights that they're not just looking for a basic understanding of this concept. They want to see if you can articulate how you've actually implemented this balance in a real-world scenario.
Okay.
And even more importantly, they want to know how you measure the success of your approach.
So it's not enough to just talk the talk. You've got to walk the walk. You've got to be able to prove that you're walking in the right direction by tracking your progress and making adjustments along the way.
Right. Another question that stood out to me focused on partnership development.
Okay.
Specifically, how do you ensure those partnerships align with and contribute to overall business development objectives?
Again, sounds simple enough, but I'm sensing there's more to it.
There's the hiring manager's insight here is key. They're not just looking for someone who can build relationships. They want someone who can build strategic partnerships that drive tangible results.
Yes.
They want to know how you evaluate potential partners,
Yeah.
how you measure the success of those partnerships,
Right.
and how you course correct if things aren't going according to plan.
So it's about demonstrating that you can think strategically about partnerships, not just racking up a bunch of names.
Exactly. And this theme of strategic thinking continues throughout the practice quiz.
Okay.
There's another question about tracking and measuring the success of revenue growth initiatives.
Yes, the all-important metrics.
Right.
But I bet it's not just about throwing around a bunch of numbers.
You're right. The hiring manager's commentary emphasizes the importance of selecting the right key performance indicators.
Okay.
Those KPIs we hear so much about
Right.
for each initiative.
Uh-huh.
They want to see that you understand how to track those KPIs effectively, and most importantly, how to use that data to make informed decisions. They want to know that you can tell a story with the numbers, not just crunch them.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So for our listener, don't just memorize a bunch of industry jargon.
Right.
Make sure you understand the why behind those metrics
Yeah.
and how they connect to real-world business outcomes.
Exactly. They're looking for insight, not just information.
There's one more question in the practice quiz that I want to touch on before we move on.
Okay.
It asks about the role of customer retention in your approach to revenue growth.
Right.
What's fascinating about this one is the hiring manager's emphasis on the strategic importance of customer retention. It's not just about keeping customers happy.
Right.
It's about understanding that retaining existing customers is often more cost-effective than acquiring new ones.
For sure.
And those loyal customers become advocates,
Yep.
spreading the word and driving organic growth.
Absolutely, like building a fan base for your company.
Exactly. So for our listener who is prepping for these interviews,
Yeah.
don't just focus on your strategies for landing new clients. Be ready to discuss how you've nurtured those valuable long-term customer relationships.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to get specific share examples of how you've implemented customer retention programs, measured their success, and even how you've adapted those programs based on customer feedback.
You know, it's funny because we're talking about this guide as a way to prep for an interview, but it's almost like a masterclass in business development itself.
That's a great point. It's
Yeah.
not just about getting the job.
Right.
It's about excelling in the role, and this guide provides valuable insights that can help you do just that.
Okay, so we've covered the three main sections of the guide:
Yeah.
technical/job specific,
Uh-huh.
behavioral,
Yep.
and the practice quiz.
Yes.
We've unpacked some of the most common interview questions,
Right.
shared insider tips from hiring managers,
Absolutely.
and hopefully given our listener a lot to think about.
I think so.
But remember, this is just a starting point. Take this knowledge and tailor it to your own unique experiences and strengths.
Yeah, make it your own.
Exactly. Use this deep dive as a springboard to craft your own compelling narratives, highlight your accomplishments, and showcase your passion for business development.
Think about your career like a successful product launch. What's your unique value proposition? How will you position yourself to stand out in this competitive market? Those are the questions that will make you unforgettable.
And don't forget, we're always here to help you dive deeper into any topic. Good luck with your interview,